Hello, everyone. This is There's Layers to This. We are so glad to be back. It has been a while. It's been a few weeks. We took some time off just to reevaluate and to bring some more great stuff for you to listen to on There's Layers to This. We hope that you have had a great time in this break. But for now, we're going into the episode on experience. Let's go. Welcome to There's Layers to This, people. We are back again. If you're seeing an extra face, a very powerful man, very influential man, the one, the only, the one, the only, Willie John Daigo. Steven, you have to put some.
Thank you.
Here, bro.
You're far too kind.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Faith and I are back, and this time we've got this lovely gentleman with us. Would you like to intro yourself, sir?
Hello. My name is Willie Jataiga, husband to Faith-Rose Jataiga. So yeah, I got invited on this episode. First time on Layers to This. I've listened to a couple of episodes, but yeah, enjoyed them. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah. And then we've got the madame here who's just glowing with happiness.
Yes, of course. You haven't seen me smiling like this before, I think.
Yeah.
So just ignore the Cheshire cat smile that will be here. My cheeks will probably be quivering by the end of this, but yes. There's layers to this. Our first ever guest, my husband. Yes, I'm so glad. So happy.
Yes,
spoken
sir?
about him in season 1, spoken about him in season 2. He's in this book, like, you know what? It's like meeting the celebrity. It's amazing.
Do you know what I mean?
It's amazing. It's good.
It's an honor.
Good.
It's an honor. Yes, sir. Anyways, today's episode is about greater than words. It's about experience and what life is like, being a human being, what it's like to live, and most of all, the experience of God in all our lives. This episode, I'm actually going to be focusing more on Faith and Willie and their experience, respectively, also in their relationship and maybe even their own personal experiences in how they feel about how God has affected them. So we're just going to get into that conversation now. But the first question I'm going to ask is, how would you define your experience when it comes to your belief in God? And I'm going to direct this first to the gentleman at the bottom of my screen.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think for me, I just feel like I experienced God since I was born. You know, I don't think there's ever been a time when I felt like I didn't experience the presence of God. So I don't know if someone told me that they've never experienced the presence of God, I'll be a bit surprised, because for me it's been from day zero, from day one. You know, from when I knew when I was told about who God is. And I was like, I'm sure he's been there since the beginning. That's as much as I've been told about God. He's been there since before I was even formed. Because, there's a verse in the Bible that says, before you were formed, I knew you, you know? So I know that God knew me before I was born. And there's a purpose for my life. There's a purpose on this earth. But further to that, growing up, for me, I look at the surroundings that I'm in. I look at everything like, you know, every creation of God is a work of wonder, you know, that others might have tried to replicate in a way, but they'll never get it quite exact, you know. God just made everything. You know, you look at the trees, you know, so functional, so full of life. just the universe, the sun, the moon, and everything, the breeze, just it all talks about the presence of God. I think there's Psalms 19 verse 1. Well, let me just look at it. I think I actually put it up as my status today on WhatsApp, and what it says that the heavens. So the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth His handiwork. So it's just an amazing thing to see that you see God everywhere. Really, that's how my experience has been. That's how I look at it. Even if I ever doubted that God existed, when I look at myself as a human being, a masterpiece, I'm like, I can't just exist. There's no way I just exist. Yeah, so I think I'll leave it there.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Faith?
What's the question again?
How you define your experience of God?
My experience of God, I'm going to give you a shortest answer to a long-winded answer. My experience of God is known best when I find times of challenge and things where like there's no other solution. And when something happens, I can be like, it's only God. And I think that's a beautiful thing about how when we look at the Bible itself and if we read it as a book of so many different people's experiences, we get to know God's covenant names at different points in time. So when God first provided for Abraham, that's when he called him Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who provides. When Moses had crossed the Red Sea, then he was then known to be Jehovah Nisi, his banner. And I think it's in those times of challenge, in those times of unexpectedness, and in those times where we are obeying God because we are trusting in God that we truly get to experience Him in a new way. So I think, yes, birth has something to do with it. Life has something to do with it. And I really like what Willie said about experiencing God everywhere, because God is everywhere and God is in everything. And if we're looking, we'll be able to see God. We'll be able to see the revelation of God. And I think our best thing that we can do when we experience God is to respond to Him, because He's whispering everywhere. I love you. I love you. I love you, all over. And all God wants is for us to respond to Him. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
So yeah, I mean, it's a powerful thing. It's a very, very important thing to understand. I think as human beings, we always come to that place where we are always asking ourselves where we come from, what our experience is, and how we live. And the question is always, where do I come from, and who made me, and why am I here? Why do I have no choice in my existence? That kind of thing. And so, for me, my experience of being my experience of God is very simple. It's just in the nature of being. The fact that I'm here and the fact that I didn't choose, but I'm still grateful at the fact that I still have the opportunity at life. I think that's my best thing. I think for me, that's my experience of God in a nutshell. But
well done. Well done. That's a very in-depth answer, but done in the shortest
short form.
That's perfect. I like that.
It's usually long. Anyways, yeah. I'm actually just looking down at some of the things we've talked about over time, but then our experiences and even some of the relationships that we have and those that we forge come from a place of understanding, people, and understanding God as well in the way we view, God's actions. So what I wanted to ask is, how does this experience and this knowledge of both God and people relate to wisdom? How do you define that, that relationship? How do you feel like when you sit down and you talk with your friends and so on and so forth, and you come up with the idea of wisdom? Is it a divine thing? Is it something that, is derived from both godly and human knowledge? So I just wanted you guys to expand on that. So Faye, could you just start with this? Yes, I'm coming for you.
Yes,
Okay.
you're coming for me, asking me questions. You're putting me on the spot, but let's go. Let's give this a bash.
Yeah.
I think wisdom. I used to think wisdom comes with age, but I don't think that anymore. I think wisdom comes with experience, but then also at the same time, like experience is all about our revelation, our understanding of how the world works. When we are people, and when we're thinking about raising children and things like that, we're not raising them for our own benefit, but for them to be able to survive in what we call this big bad world and that sort of thing. And I think knowledge and wisdom work well really together, because sometimes if you're talking about knowledge, you can look at two different words, that there's gnosis and there's epignosis. Yeah. So then there's like knowledge, which is just knowing of something, like like I knew of marriage, but epignosis is like experiencing marriage, and I am experiencing marriage now. So then I have a deeper knowledge, and obviously my knowledge is not going to be the same. I mean, we're just over a year and a half married now, but my knowledge is not going to be the same as someone who's been married for 10 years. My knowledge is not going to be the same as someone who's been married for 50 years. So I think the deeper the experience, the greater the wisdom.
Yes, sir. How do you relate that, the same thing, the wisdom? Where does it come from? The experience of God and man. Please expand.
Ultimately, I believe the wisdom comes from God himself, because God is the one who created the world. God is the one who created everything. So if we are looking at, just going back to what Willie was saying, like, the heavens and the firmament are telling of the glory of God. And we understand, like, God has created everything for his own glory. If I look at it from that perspective, then we are of the understanding that wisdom comes from him. Because if I created something, I know how it works. I know what it needs. Like if I was the one who made the first car, I would know what every single part does. And I guess in a sense, when we're trying to understand our lives, if we look at it from the perspective of like maybe knowing a car, a mechanic is the one who would know more about the car, but better still, the person who actually created that car, designed it and everything, has a deeper knowledge. And maybe you say, okay, this has got that sort of wisdom thing. So I believe wisdom comes from experience, but more so from God. And it was interesting, I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and like, everyone knows the story of Adam and Eve. And Eve ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? And one poignant thing that you were saying, like someone was preaching and they were saying that, like, God told Adam that, you can eat from any of the trees or anything, but apart from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? So God wanted Adam to live from revelation, not through experience. And when we are trying to understand, the ultimate source of wisdom is God. So God wants the best for us. He has good plans for us. He has thoughts to give us a good future and a hope and an expected end, right? But God wants us to live through revelation. So if we're going back to the beginning, we are seeing God. Everything's telling us about God. Everything is revealing God. And in that same sense, God wants us to live by revelation and not always through experience. But it is through our experience that we then get to the place where we're saying, okay, maybe revelation is good. But yeah, it's a cyclical thing. But yes, that's. I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah, you have done. And Willie, how do you view the relationship between knowledge and experience, and how that relates to wisdom?
Yeah. Okay. So I think I look at it that knowledge is being able to have an understanding of something, and wisdom, to me, wisdom is being able to use. You can have an understanding of something, but being able to utilize something to get the best out of it would need your wisdom. And in most cases, it happens that we become wiser as we experience, as we get to know things, and we make then better decisions. Sometimes we have to, we go through bad experiences in order to make good decisions. And not only that, but maybe good decisions in terms of maybe avoiding to make the mistakes that we previously made. But also sometimes we improve in another scenario where the first instance, or the first experience is different to the second experience. But because you've been through that first experience and you made a few mistakes, and when handling the second experience, you're in a different scenario, different setup, you're dealing with a different challenge. But because you of your experience in the first scenario, you make a wiser decision. You're becoming a bit wiser. You're coming better at making decisions. So you'll be faced with a different challenge, but you'll be better at making decisions because now you're wiser. So that's the connection. Now, on the onset, without even requiring knowledge, then if we look at it from the spiritual perspective, we're looking at God giving you the wisdom, being able to make the wise decision, a wise decision without going through a certain experience to make a mistake, So that's now that's wisdom from God,
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at it. So the other one is more like you go through an experience to become wiser. The other one is coming in because of your spiritual connection with God.
No, yeah, that's definitely powerful stuff. That's definitely powerful stuff. I actually wanted to move on to speak about what's the difference then? There was a time, like Faith spoke about, there was a time that you had a knowledge of what marriage is like, but now you're experiencing it. So I want you guys both, I think this is going to be more of a conversation, so I'm not going to pick who starts, but can you explain what the difference is between, for those of us that don't know,
Mm-hmm.
for those of us that don't know what marriage is like, explain to us what it's like to be in that world and what, the pitfalls and, things are.
I think I'll start this way. How to say that I knew of marriage? Ahead of the word marriage, maybe to simplify it. Ahead of marriage, and people get married. But of course, I think firsthand we see our parents. Our parents are married, they're together, so we experience a product of marriage. And that's an example to us. And when you picture that you're going to one day get married, you're looking at yourself being in that scenario that your parents are right now, because you get it.
Mm-hmm.
And now having to go to actually get married, I think that it comes a time, you're going to be in primary school, you're going to be in preschool, primary school, then secondary school, then you need to go to uni. You know that you need to go to uni, you're not just going to say, you can't stay in high school forever, and after uni, you're going to be looking for a job because that's just the natural way that God made things. You have to progress to the next step. You start somewhere, and you're always progressing. You're aging, and there comes a point that you're going to see that, I need to be with someone. You need to start having a relationship with. You start relationship with as friends, and then like I'm saying, there comes a time when you need to move on to the next step of marriage, and then
friend to marriage. I like that.
Yeah.
Friend to marriage.
Man. Some people are just jumping, man. Some people, I saw you last week. Let's go.
So it's a natural progression, You're going to get there and you're going to realize that, now I need to find someone who I can spend the rest of my life with. And you're going to start looking for the qualities that will make you compatible.
Mm-hmm.
someone who's going to make you happy, someone whom you can tolerate whatever nonsense they're going to say. You're going to have to.
What does that even mean?
No, I'm just saying.
Calling you out, man.
I'm just
No.
That's not it. Let me just interject there. Let me find out. Like, what is this really about? What are you really saying?
No, but what I'm just saying is there's always two sides to everyone. There's okay, like you're going to be having a good day, and on some days you're not going to have a good day because of something has happened, and the way we react to different experiences, is different. Something will happen, and maybe I'll not cry. Something will happen, and maybe she'll cry. Maybe Faith-Rose will cry. Let's say, and I have to be able to allow her to do that, and to be able to find a way to have a conversation with her in that state, because let's say, now we're talking like this, everything is cool, what, but then sometimes you're going through a challenge at work and you're not having a good day. I have to be able to approach you and have a conversation with you and try to be helpful in a sense. I don't know if there's anything else I need to expand on. I don't know if I've lost my
Faith.
Thoughts, but anyway.
Because there was an interjection moment, Faith. It seems like there's some beef out here.
No, I was gonna say, is it beef? Yeah, because I ain't ready. I haven't made my answer yet.
No, I wasn't referring to an actual situation.
She was waiting for a moment.
I was like, hold up. I need to come in here.
No, not an actual situation, but just saying.
But just saying, like, if I was talking rubbish one day, you can deal with it, yeah?
Yes, exactly.
Wow, you better say no. You never talk rubbish, like, you're like, I don't know, everything you say is so great.
No, I thought we said honesty is the best policy in relationships. What is this?
Listen, this is being recorded, yeah, so we need to keep the facade.
All right. Look, I think a good example, maybe I can say, what can I say? I'm lost. But anyway,
Wow.
there's things that I'll do that Faith-Rose will not like. She'll not like everything that I'll do. And some days I can get on her nerve or something, but she has to be able to tolerate some of those things. So like leaving shoes somewhere, just I get in the house, let's say I just leave my pair of shoes there. And maybe I'm just tired. She can just pick it up and put it where it's supposed to be. Yeah. So sometimes you tolerate. Instead of her maybe shouting at me like, "Oh, why did you leave your shoes here?" and stuff. So certain things just tolerate.
So let's all right. I think I'm going to come in before the thoughts start going somewhere else, and everyone's like, what exactly is going on? But anyway, we've only got this to base. I think the question is, what's our experience of marriage, or what?
Yeah. What's the difference between you knowing of marriage and experiencing it now?
I'll approach it from the way that Willie approached it, but I'm going to disagree on a couple of points.
Yeah, let's go.
So yes, we go to primary school, we go to secondary school. Some of us go to university, some don't. But I think ultimately we're on a path in life. We don't have to get married, mind you. The Bible doesn't say you have to get married; it's a choice, right? So I think it's that decision, but you need to be ready. So I think to get to that place, to get married, you need to be ready to be able to make that decision from the place where you've got all the relevant information in check to be able to say, okay, yeah, I'm happy with this decision, and that's that. The one word that I like about what Willie said was progressing. So I think it's a progression, and you should progress not because you've come to a certain age, but because you've reached a certain level of maturity, because marriage requires maturity. So all these petty business can't be taking that into marriage. Can't be taking it at all. And marriage, the experience of marriage, yeah, listen, yeah, you think you're ready, yeah, you're like, you know what, yeah, I'm here for this, like, you know, I got my life in check, got my priorities, got my thoughts in check. And then it just exposes things about you because, like, you know, at the end of the day, we're being, but we're becoming better, isn't it? Yeah. So sometimes, I'll just give an example. Sometimes, you know,
like a real life experience.
A real life experience. This was before we were married. But anyway, like Willie would call me and then he'd be like, okay, bye. I'd be like, all right, bye. And I just dashed my phone to the side. I never put the phone down. And I think that used to irritate him. So after some time, it's like, can you just put the phone down? And I was like, oh, don't I put the phone down? Like, you know, these things that you don't really even realize that are parts of what you do and stuff like that. So I think marriage has a way of exposing certain things about you. But I think one of the things in my experience so far of being married, I haven't been married for very long. We haven't been married for very long, but one of my truest experiences is having the knowledge of saying, okay, well, it is a constant process of growth. It's hard work. And you're trying to say, okay, now we're doing things together. It's not all about me and what I'm doing, like where I'm going, like, because, you know, before we're married, I could make a decision. I'd be like, you know what, I'm going on holiday. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But now it's that collectiveness. And one thing that I would say that this couple that was counseling us said to us was, the key to a good marriage is the commitment to resolving conflict. So there's a lot of that conflict resolution. There's so many things about marriage, but really it's about, you know, having expectations. I mean, they say, okay, don't have too many expectations, but I think someone with no expectations is not really good, really, because do they value certain things? So it's me voicing my expectations. It's Willie voicing his expectations, and us finding a middle ground to say, okay, can this work for both of us? Like, you know, there's many ways to get to the same thing. So if we're talking about eating rice and someone wants it from a rice cooker, someone wants it from a pot, what is our objective? We want the rice to be cooked, right? But then what is our challenge? We don't have time. So, okay, let's have rice from a rice cooker then. It's still cooked, isn't it? So it's just little things like that. But the experience is completely different from when we were friends, from when we got in a relationship, and from when, we became married. I think it's like a deeper connection each time. And I think it's been an interesting journey. It is an interesting journey, but I think what what I really like is the different levels of commitment. And like if we weren't married, like there's certain things that I just can't expect of him. And like, you know, sometimes maybe, you know, we'd have had conversations in the past and we're talking about something, maybe we'd have disagreed on a couple of things. But then I remember distinctly one time when we just got married and we're having a disagreement about something. And, you know, then we're talking it. And because basically when we hit conflict, we work it out. We try and work it out as much as we can then and there. So we'll have an honest conversation, like, you know, them conversations that you don't really want to have because you don't really want to be hearing the truth about yourself. You'll be like, yes, all right, man, I'm perfect. But in the moment, you're just like, wow, is this the truth, man? I think the truth hurts, like, but you know, you just need to take it. You just they're like, you know what, it's okay. So it was like one of them moments. And, you know, we were talking and I don't even remember what we were talking about, but we're talking about it. And, then basically we got to a certain point and I was just like, so why are you still on the phone? And he was like, because you're my wife. And I think that, that I was just like, oh. Yes, to me. So you've heard it here first. When it's your wife, you better stay on that phone. You better talk. You better resolve it. You better do whatever you want to do. But I want to bring you. I've been talking for a while, but I really want to bring you into this. And this is a plug, whatever it is. But yeah, let's look at it in this cool kind of way. So, this is bringing you in, Dumi. I'm sure you know about it. And so basically, in the whole week of us getting married, there were the Ngoni dances and everything like that. They were doing the different dances and things like that. And I think a lot of the songs that they do, I think they're usually like wedding related. But anyway, they were singing wedding songs. So there was one song that says, I thought you said you wanted marriage. This is what marriage is. So I'll just sing it a bit. But if you want to hear little snippets of Dumi and his interesting, lovely singing, it's track 3 of the Full Circle album. Yes, shameless plug. Track 3. Yes, make sure you listen to this. Track 3. There's a little sample in it. It's a really cool thing. No, not track 3. What am I on about? Yes, it is.
What's the
track
title?
5. Track 5. 1, 2, 3. GUM. Yes, track 5. Make sure you listen to that. You'll like it. But basically, so the song says, so it's like, didn't you say you wanted marriage? Banja, banja, ndilomwele. Mukali samale, banja. So basically, this is what you wanted, yeah? So this is marriage. So you better take care of it. Better like, fix up and that. So yeah, that's
the Willie guy was shaking in his boots at that wedding, man. Like you just heard the song, turned around, looked at the guy like started dancing, man. I was like, yeah.
So that's the experience of marriage. You just have to just get on with it, really.
Oh yeah. Well, I can't say I know what that's like.
Don't worry, I'll sing that song at your wedding. I'll sing that song at your wedding. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. You remember this song.
Oh my god. Well, yeah, wow. Okay, yeah. I'm trying to figure out.
How did we get here?
No, yeah. Experience is really, really important to everything that we do. I mean, like, when we look at your experience in marriage and we look at your experiences with God and anyone's experiences in life, the general consensus is that everything relates back to how we use that in our humanity. And a lot of the time as human beings, we don't understand the next person's experience. We don't understand how the person views. And if you check out the episode on perception, we talk about how experience informs your perception of life. And so, why do we say it's greater than words? And so I'm going to let you guys answer that question. Then I'm going to come in. But how, why is it that experience is so much greater than words? Why can you not exactly define something until you've experienced it? Because all the time when we talk about, like you've talked about scenarios, you haven't necessarily spoken, like you can't put into words what marriage is like. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can't put it into words definitively, but you have an idea or a way to be able to show a person who's not in it, so to speak. You have a way to show a person who's not in it. So why do we say that experience and the nature of living through something is greater than the notion of words? Have at it.
Okay, I'll go. I think, while you were saying that, I just thought of the time when I was a really small kid, when I was little. And we used to play with fire a lot, We'd want to start a fire like what do you call it?
Like an arsonist.
No, not like that. Not like that.
How did we get there? I think that's what people were thinking about. So, I just had to say what the audience is thinking. Sorry, I'll be quiet.
I don't know. Maybe there's an excitement.
Oh, you mean when you're playing with a ball? When you're making these footballs?
Plastic balls, when you're making... we used to, cook, want to cook. So, there's a fascination about fire. When your parents are making fire, you want to be the one fanning it to make it, bigger. And there's even water. I think kids play with water a lot. They play with fire a lot. And, your parents would be like, okay, don't play with fire. And, you don't quite get it until you get burnt. And you're like, ouch, that hurts, that hurts.
You don't even know.
Yes. The sensation for a burnt finger, that feeling, the pain is just too real, it'll send you crying, you're gonna cry the loudest and you'll be screaming all over the place. Well, I told you not to play the fire. So from there, if they tell you don't play fire, you understand why,
Exactly, but you can't define it.
There's just not a better understanding than that. That's how I was just thinking. So feeling something is just a greater, yes, it's a greater thing than just for someone to say it. It didn't make sense to me as a child until I experienced it. And yeah, they say experience is the best teacher. I think for many people, I'll give another, I may be too personal that one, but I was going to give an example of someone who was a total drunk and his friend, while they were drinking, got hit by a car and that sent him to stop drinking. He drinks here and there, but not like before, So I think that really scared him, like, I don't know, so much that he lost his friend and he was close to losing his own life, And he's afraid that he could lose his life maybe if he ever gets drunk like that again and is crossing the road or something. Yeah, so I think that's what makes it greater. It's the feeling of experiencing something and just being told is very different. Just another level up. It's HD. It's 6K, 8K, Yeah.
All right, Faith.
That's yeah.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
Oh no. Oh no.
No, there's sometimes words. I mean, if anyone's wondering, if you want to look that up, that's reference to Shakespeare. But anyway, there's something that words can give and something that words cannot. And I think Willie expressed that very beautifully to say that it is that feeling, when we're talking about experience, our experience is not just what we hear, but then it is topped off by what we feel. Maya Angelou said, people forget what you said, people forget what you did, but people never forget how you made them feel. So, if we're talking about experience, we're talking about feeling, and it takes more than just mere words to be able to express that. I mean, words are an engine, and one of the beautiful things that I think it's the beautiful things that I love about the Jewa language. It doesn't have many words, right? But then it is a language is so much. It leans more on the intonation and the way you say things. It leans more on the way you carry yourself, your demeanor, the way the way you lower yourself or the way you stand up or whatever. Just those slight things. Even if someone doesn't understand what is being said, they can feel what is being said by the level of reverence that you show, like as a matter of respect and things like that. So if we're looking at it in that respect, we can have an understanding.
That's Justine. Yeah.
Hi, Justine. We can have an understanding. We can have an understanding of, that it is greater than words, that there's so much more. And I think, and if I'm just looking at the world, like what the world wants now more than ever. I mean, they talk about millennials all wanting, or would rather pay for experiences rather than things, right? I think we're taking it to the next level because what we're looking for is like, we've already got everything. So what more is there? So the creation of experiences, the creation of excursions and all of those things, that's what people value now. So that's greater than words. Those are times when, you leave your phone at home because you leave your phone at home because you want to completely immerse yourself in that experience. And I think that's what greater than words is. It's something that you just can't express. You can try, but it's very difficult. So yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, the experience of life and all of this. We've done this so that we can relate it back to how we live in terms of how we view God as Christians and as kingdom culture people. We are very, very adamant on what we believe, and we are unapologetically so. Why? Because each one of us here on this podcast have experienced God in our own way. There's various conversations you can have with myself, Faith, and whenever we can get Willie involved, we will do so.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Definitely.
I'll make myself available. Yeah.
It's recorded. It's right here. We'll just play this back.
That will be his personal soundbite. Now he's stuck. These are the receipts. But yeah, basically, our experience of God makes it so that we're able to explain what it's like to be a child of God as well. Because the main reason why we do what we do is so that people can be led to a better way of life and can be led to feeling safe and hope and love in God. And so that's the important thing. And we always relate our experiences back to that because it's so important to us. I feel like this episode is very, very difficult to end because you can almost have a conversation about this the entire day. But I think just closing remarks, how do you guys feel about all this relating to the human condition and how, everyone seeks and has a need to know where they come from and to experience something greater than just, the carnal. Everyone is searching for enlightenment, so to speak. People are taking trips or going to monasteries and taking meditation classes, taking yoga, doing all sorts of things to be enlightened. But it seems like a much simpler job for us. Like we can just go through life and feel enlightened just because we believe what we believe. Now, I just want you guys to talk a little bit more towards the end of this episode about how this relates to our condition as people. How does experience make people feel like they have arrived? It's such an abstract question, I know. But
abstract question.
Exactly. How does experience make so the idea of being enlightened is the notion of having arrived, right? At a destination, at a place. The satisfaction of knowing that you know all that you need to know, or the satisfaction of having peace. So how does experience generate that peace for a person? Maybe that's a better way to put it.
I would say that enlightenment is a coming to knowledge at a certain time. And if life is seasonal and you're moving in seasons, then it means that summer's going to come to an end. Autumn's about to come, then winter, or the rain season is about to come and the dry season is about to come. But it's very seasonal. So I think there's levels of enlightenment. And I think enlightenment is interesting enough. I think enlightenment serves its purpose when you're looking at the source, to find the source, because experience is constantly happening. Experiences are changing each and every day. So I think there needs to be that openness. And you also need to be able to say that as I'm experiencing this, like what am I doing? What's the vehicle that I'm going along in? And I think that vehicle has to be peace. Because if you're understanding things from a seasonal perspective, then what you're looking at is saying, okay, well, peace is where I need to be because I understand that this is a season. And if I'm looking at the human condition, then I'm looking at it with the understanding that I'm not the first person to experience this. So then you go out and you seek wisdom. And what greater wisdom than in the person in God who created you, so when we're talking about peace, when we're talking about stillness, when we're talking about solitude, all those things, we even need to understand that, God is not how he's depicted in the Netflix movies. He's not Morgan Freeman, the voice of Morgan Freeman, but, is described as a still small voice. When we understand revelation, there's revelations in so many different things. And if I'm just talking about the human condition episode, like, the song, How Great Thou Art, came from an experience of the author, going out for a walk as he usually did. So I think when we are understanding peace, we need to understand that peace. I remember it was in a preaching once, someone said that peace is victory sustained. And I think that's such a powerful way to look at it. Because when you are at peace with something, that means you have found something that someone can't take away from you. And I think that is so important when we're looking at our whole experience as human beings, because we're in search for peace, but we shouldn't expect peace to be stagnant. No, not necessarily peace to be stagnant, but we're searching for peace in particular situations. But we need to also understand that life is seasonal, and that constant need to be in constant communion with God, constantly, growing that understanding of God and constantly getting more from God. But our enlightenment is in understanding that God is there.
Go on, sir.
I like how you've put it. I think what my understanding and what I'm getting is that it all relates to a certain relationship or connection to God. Because people are looking for the enlightenment, like experiences, like you've talked about, people going to different places all over the world, traveling to see this and that, to see the 7 wonders of the world.
Yeah,
it's experiencing God. It's all creation, and it speaks to us. It resonates with us to a certain wavelength. I don't know that we just go with it, and we enjoy. We feel that we are part of that because we as well are a part of a creation that is God's creation. And when we have experience with other creation, we are getting to some sense of like we feel that we are a piece of this puzzle and we resonate with it, that completes us to some extent, and that completion is the presence of God. It's seeking God. Others may not be aware of it, but they're seeking God.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So we love having these types of conversations. These are the conversations that we live for, because they help us to navigate life a little bit easier. Thank you so much, Willie, for joining us today. It has been a massive pleasure.
Welcome. I enjoyed it. It was nice having this.
We have had so much fun today. We hope that all of you guys will continue enjoying the episodes as we bring them to you. We're almost at the end of this entire series, and we've got a small series that we're trying to work on. We're going to see how it comes up, but we'll have more information towards the end of episode 10. And yeah, this has been There's Layers to This from me, Dumi, and we have had
Faith-Rose,
and we have had
Willie.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having us. God bless and good night.
God bless you too. Good night.
And that brings us to the end of our episode today on There's Layers to This on experience, and that it is greater than words. Thank you so much to Willie, who is Faith's husband, as we've already said. Thank you so much for being a part of this process. We hope that you enjoyed it. Y'all, please go on Instagram, and as seen in the picture, please show him some love. And we are so grateful to continue this community. For those of you who haven't heard before, we have some powerful and interesting episodes coming up soon. Our next episode is actually on toxic masculinity. It's one we've been waiting for so long to come up with and get done. So we hope you are all happy with what we produce. In any case, we hope you have a good day. And that's it from There's Layers to This. Cue the music.